Hi, I'm Kyle Bagshaw from Team 11, and I'm going to show you our device. As you can see here, we've got a porcine shoulder sample that we're actually using to do some testing of the device. If you look, the shoulder joint's actually right in here, so that's the area we're going to focus on. If you look over here, we have our device. We've got a nice plexiglass case for it. Open it up, you can see our syringe pump here. We've got our syringe filled just with water for now, but in a real experiment it would have some drugs like a corticosteroid and a painkiller. Got our pressure sensor right here. The fluid flows through that and it measures the pressure. And here we have an amplifier circuit which amplifies the signal from the pressure sensor and sends it to our DAC device. Over here, the DAC device is located on the side of the case right here. It's a National Instruments 6008 model, so it's very small, very affordable. And then there's some other electronics, power strip, and then some extra components in here. So we have extra syringes, needles, tubing, some other adapters. And all this plugs in over here to our user interface, which has a number of tabs, basically everything you need to run the process, and Vesco is going to talk about that afterwards. So our device is intended to measure the pressure inside the articular capsule of the shoulder joint. If you look on the model here, we're interested right in the fluid-filled capsule, which is between the humerus and the glenoid fossa. Certain shoulder conditions or injuries lead to changes in the tissue around this joint, and that would lead to a change in the pressure. And so we're interested in measuring that as a means of a diagnosis. So this is where our device comes in. We've got a needle, and in an actual diagnostic setting or a therapy, the healthcare provider would actually insert the needle into the patient's shoulder capsule. For obvious reasons, we can't actually do this. We've purchased a porcine shoulder sample to help verify the concept. So if you look, we cut into this a bit earlier, so the shoulder joint is actually right in here. And so once we find it, the needle will just be inserted.
That's a stiff shoulder.
And so once it's in, we would then use the user interface to measure the pressure and distend the shoulder as needed.
Hi, I'm Vesco, and I'll be talking to you about our custom-built user interface for the distension device. And we begin here with the pump options and configuration screen. This is where we establish a connection between the pump, the DAC, the pressure sensor, and the computer. This is a lot of technical options and information, so we'll move on to the procedure itself. First, here we begin with the patient information screen. The operator is able to enter the person's information such as name, age, height, gender, and along with previous injuries and operations. And we have some error analysis that we will be able to do. And moving on to procedure setup and pump controls, this is the main hub. The person is able to choose what type of syringe, what type of size, along with the inside diameter of the syringe, and including the initial infusion rate, how much fluid they want to infuse. And moving on to the actual controls, this is the pump control screen. We're able to run and stop and reverse the direction of the injection. And this is the information output screen, where we're able to display the intra-articular pressures along with the rate of change of those pressures. And this is where the negative feedback occurs, so that we can prevent the patient's shoulder capsule from rupturing by controlling how fast the pump is ready to infuse. So now we'll look at the programming behind the custom user interface. This portion includes setting up communication with the DAC, along with the mathematical compression and analysis of the signals so as to display proper graphs for us to use, along with the negative feedback loop which controls the pump. Moving on to the pump control itself, this long chain of blocks is to control the pump and to make it operational as we see fit, along with some error analysis down here. Now the next portion is to export the procedure report along with all the information that the user might want for future use, and along with other miscellaneous additions such as labels, figures, captions, and the ability to change your units around and to choose what manufacturer of syringes you have and their appropriate volume to make the entire setup easier and quicker to run.
As you can see here, we've got our experimental setup. Here we've inserted the needle into the general vicinity of the porcine shoulder capsule. In a real test, we would like to use ultrasound imaging to confirm that we do in fact have the needle in the correct place. Fortunately, this is expensive, so we can't have that device here today, but we actually did some testing with it earlier, and it seemed to indicate that it worked very well. So that's set to go. Looking through, we've got our system. Everything looks to be connected properly. The tube goes through the pressure sensor and then into the syringe, which is filled with water. Everything else looks all set, so we're going to start a little test procedure.
We run the VI, and after everything's set up, we're able to begin infusing water.